Welcome back. We're going to be wrapping up this series on vesicle transport, and we'll show you guys some of the supporting files that generally accompany a storyboard as we hand it off to the production team. And we'll show you guys how to consolidate all of our artwork here in Photoshop and export them into separate files in preparation for that final handoff. So what I've done since the last chapter is I've gone ahead to color in the next two shots. So here where we're watching the vesicles move away from the Golgi, and in this one where we're watching it move towards the cell membrane. Now normally I wouldn't recommend that you color in every single panel. The reason is simple, there's just going to be way too many things to color. So at most you would color in the first shot or first panel in a particular scene. In the next two shots we're looking at the same environment with the same assets, so it wouldn't have made sense to color these in, and I would just keep them black and white. In shot 4, however, since we're moving on to a new environment, I would have recommended coloring this panel. Alternatively, you don't need to color in any of these storyboard panels at all. You can simply use the story beats you created as the concept art. So, if you'll recall, a story beat is that summary image that captures an entire scene. We could have taken that story beat, colored in all the different assets as we would like to see it in the final animation, and include this concept art piece in the storyboard file as we're handing it off to the production team. Along with the concept art, you should include pieces that detail the stage and the environment. So this piece here is simply a side view that shows where all the assets should be laid out in the environment, and I've included a capillary with the RBC to show the production team where that should be placed in relation to everything else. Now, in this story here, there's not a lot going on. We just have the nucleus, Golgi, vesicles, cell membrane, and the capillaries. But in a much more complicated set, it'll be useful to lay everything out beforehand, and it'll speed up the process for the production team so they know what to model, where to place them, and we can move on to shooting the scenes that much quicker. Along with your stage design pieces, you should also include character sheets. In most animations with anthropomorphic characters at least, you might have entire pages dedicated to the study of one single character, and the reason is to flush out their looks from different angles and to inform the production team of their mood, behavior, and mannerisms. For us, we're probably more interested in getting a good sense of the relative scale of our different characters. So, laying out our primary and secondary characters like this, side by side, it'll be very helpful for the production team as they begin the modeling process. Now that we have all our support files and all the panels have been completed, we can export all these images into separate files, and we'll be taking those files to create a final document which we will then hand over to the production team. To export everything, we're going to be using the Layer Comps tool, and you can find it under the Windows menu and here called Layer Comps. Or you could find the icon over here in the right menu bar. And what happens with Layer Comps is every time we create a new layer comp with this icon here, we save the state of the Photoshop file. And that is, we save the visibility and the positioning of all the layers in that point in time. So let's show you guys an example. We have the characters layer visible. We're going to create a new layer comp. And we'll name this Support Character Sheet. And then we'll turn this layer off and make visible the stage layer. And we'll create a new layer comp called Support Stage Design. And what happens when we jump back to this layer comp here, by clicking this empty box, is we'll jump back to the state when the characters layer was visible. And again, we'll jump back to when stage was visible. So we'll continue doing this for all the other support files and the panels. So something to note as we're moving on is I've changed the naming of these 4 panels when I created the layer comps. And this will make more sense later on when we're actually creating the final document for the production team. But since we have 2 distinct environments, I figured it would make sense to break them up into 2 distinct scenes. So we now have scene 01 or SC01 with shots 1, 2, and 3. They're all in the cytoplasm. And this extracellular scene is now scene 02, shot 1. And now we can start exporting. And the way to actually export each of these layer comps is to go to File, head over to Scripts, and select Layer Comps to Files. And when this dialog box opens, you can then choose the destination folder that you want to export these files and a file name prefix, but we're just going to leave this blank. You can also select specific layer comps to export, but we're going to also keep this unchecked. And we're going to turn these into JPEGs. So I'm going to hit Run. And now all our layer comps should have been exported. So I'm going to go over to my Finder window, and yep, everything has been exported. So let's just do a quick preview. And everything seems fine. So next time we'll take these files and we'll create that final document so that we can hand it off to the next stage in the production line.